All systems are a go.
Confirming all systems are a go. Launching the podcast.
3, 2, 1.
This is Hello from Mars.
I am so pumped. I don't know exactly. I think it was like 2012, 2013 maybe when I got to meet you, Manning-Hilton. But welcome to Hello from Mars. I'm so happy to have you on my brand new podcast.
Very, very excited and honored that our lives have circled back around and that I get to do this with you. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is, this has been a while in the making, I think. I mean, I always love to keep in touch with you. You know, we've been friends now for a while. And it's funny because, like, every once in a while, if I'm feeling something, I'm like, I got to reach out to Katie. Katie's going to know. Katie's going to know what the hell's going on. But
right, reach out to me like a magic 8-ball.
Yeah, so I want to like let people know a little bit more about you because I know you and I know your story and I know the things that you've done, but there's a lot of people that are maybe watching from the capital region or outside of the capital region, just because I know that I've been other places. So they're following me. I want them to get to know you. And I think that's really important because you are amazing and you're so good at what you do. But tell us like your story and how you got started, because this is weird to people sometimes. They're like, I know how I start to be an accountant, but how do I start to be a psychic medium?
So obviously, and I really believe, Marissa, that everybody has ability. I think that we're all born with this. And I was very fortunate. I'm born and raised in Rotterdam, 1966. So I'm 54 years old. And what wound up happening was my mother realized, that youngest of three, that very young, I was seeing things, knowing things. She says I was 3 years old the first time I started doing it. And I literally walked out in the kitchen and she was thinking something. And what she was thinking was they were out of milk and that she had to go to the market. And I literally walked out and said, "Oh, we're going to the market now." And she was like, "I don't think I said that." Like it was something in my head. So anyways, she started to realize I was doing this all the time with her. But they also, like now, family members and other people are constantly telling me that they remember me. You talk about a creepy little kid. I mean, it's just so bizarre. The one friend of my mother's, who's like another aunt, Annette Anderson, she says, "I can remember Katie standing in the backyard and all the kids were playing. And she literally was standing there like by herself, like talking to somebody, like looking up and talking." Now, I'm a mom, so I can't even imagine what I would have been like seeing my own kid like,
right.
Oh, okay. So the years feed forward. My mother, bless her soul, she put me in the cart and she wheeled me up to the bookmobile and she got a book out. And that was probably right around 1970, having to do with kids with psychic ability. Excuse me. And what she did was, it basically said that it was a small percentage of people that had it or were born with it, which is not true, through this study that was done in the 1970s or whenever at Duke University. And that I was supposed to grow out of it. So that's what it said in the book. So as I'm doing all these creepy, weird things, my mother all the time would say to my father, "Don't worry, Johnny, she's going to grow out of this." So
jokes on her.
They all remember that the one time I was in a restaurant with the family, probably like a Flavorland back in the day. And I turned around and I said to my mother, "There's a man, the man can't swallow." And my mother's like, "What are you talking?" Everybody's eating. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, the man over there. And I said, he has suspenders on. And I said, I said his name is like Norman. And excuse me. And she said, "There's no man over there." And my father goes, "What in the hell is she talking about?" So I could see this person. And that is probably a big thing that even rolling into my adult life, I realized with kids that are like, I would have been termed as an indigo child, that kids assume, and very innocently, that these people that they're seeing or these things that they're sensing, that everybody can sense it. And why doesn't mommy react or daddy react to this? So, and they're not fearful. It's just somebody that's there. So my mother was able to validate some of these things, these people that I was seeing or conversing with all the time. So it was really interesting. As time went on, the things like through junior high and high school, it was always there. Eventually what wound up happening was I worked for years for the Schenectady County Chamber of Commerce. And so I helped businesses get going. I knew what was successful and what wasn't successful and the tricks and the things. So during that time, I wound up getting connected to a missing person case locally, had never done anything. Talk about out of your comfort zone. That was around like 2006. And I wound up working with the sheriff's department and state police. And then they talk about outing you. They started referring my name and talking to other families and people. So I was getting phone calls for psychic readings while I was at the Chamber of Commerce. So
Oh man.
Eventually that's what I did. I left the corporate world, and it was Friday the 13th and of
Of course
2000.
it was. I mean, what other day?
Of course it was. It was October 2013. Friday the 13th. So that was the day I literally sat at the computer and I thought, I can do this. I can go and read for people, and I can have this as, like, this is my calling.
Yeah.
And it literally overnight, Marissa, it took off. I'm
Well,
very
you know why?
fortunate.
Because you're so damn good. And that's the thing, is that, like, there are so many, and I said this on the last podcast, because I did tell a little bit of our story in the first time that you read me, because anybody can go into it skeptical, and anybody can be like, well, she Googled me and blah, 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 and whatever. And, but then you pull out something and it's just like the shivers go up you, and you don't even know how to react. I mean, for me, I was just like, but
myself, I've had that. I've had people that I've had readings with where I'm waiting for like the bullshit button, okay, like impress me. And I'm not so jaded, but it's just like, I think everybody has to kind of prove what they do.
Right. Yeah.
And sure. When they've done this to me, Alex Bradley, who's in Albany, one of the most locally known psychics, he read me, girl. Like, he got it so spot. He knew shit that I was like so buried deep down in the cavern that I didn't have anybody know, that I was like,
it's like, okay, stop saying that out loud. Okay.
Yeah. That's exactly the name that we shall not mention.
Oh, that is so crazy. So, you mentioned how you help people, and now you're doing these readings. Has there ever been a moment where you blew your own mind?
Oh yeah. And even because, as you know, from having sessions with me, I don't remember a lot of what I say to you guys.
Yeah, I know you end up writing a lot of it down. Yeah.
Right.
I still have some of it, actually.
I think it has to do with the fact that I can't carry everybody's stuff. So I must have made kind of like a deal with, the universe, God, whatever, that I would help people, but I wasn't going to hang on to it. So the blowing the mind part, I was working on one missing person case, and I was talking to a local police officer a detective. And while I was talking to him, it was almost like somebody changed the radio station, and I started to pick up on other things. And I'm like, wait a minute, it wasn't anything to do with the initial case. And I said to him, I'm getting a female, I'm getting a, like, hidden in a bag. And they had just found a body that had no name. It was a Jane Doe. And I started to get all this other information on this case that I couldn't have possibly known. And when that happened, it was months later, and this detective saw me out at a restaurant. He said, come here for a minute, I want to tell you something. I said, yeah. And he said, you said something, and I'll share this. He said, you said you saw the name Angel. And he said, we were following up on a lead that it could have been a potential local prostitute whose name was Angel, that the body they found. And he said, I thought you were reading my mind. He said, months later, he said, you kept saying 3 people were involved in this woman's death and blah, blah, blah. He said, I'm telling one of the guys that got arrested, at the jail where these men were arrested. He said, I'm telling him about talking to the psychic. And I said, well, she kept seeing a tattoo and the name was Angel on the tattoo. And he went, it's on him. And he went, what? And he goes, it's on him. And when I did the Elaine thing, when he told me, I went, shut up. So she was in spirit. She was showing me, it was like a heart with the name like in cursive. It wasn't on the victim.
It was on the, yeah. Wow.
It was on the person that did it.
So crazy.
It is crazy.
That's, but I'm not surprised. I mean, I got the chills, but I'm not surprised. So we were saying this before we hopped on here. This is our show. COVID has caused so many different things for people like you and I, where it's like, it kind of, I've said this before on the pod. You come to a screeching halt because we're so used to. I don't want to say what you're doing is entertaining, but yeah, I mean, you put on a show, you go and you go to the casino or whatever, and people come and they see you and they get readings and whatever. And you've got readings that you do otherwise. And I've been on the radio forever. So we've had to kind of navigate this a little differently. What have you been doing to kind of keep going? I mean, are you doing readings like we're doing this right now? Like how
Yes.
are you going?
So almost immediately, I had switched over about a year ago, trying to work with my life a little bit. So it was almost 2 years ago now, I had a location. So I got an office, and I'd never done that in all the years that I'd been doing readings, so that I wasn't traveling as much, Marissa. I wanted them to come to me and make my life, like I was trying to really simplify things so I could have more of a life with my kids and if I was dating. So as a result of that, I get the office, and it is starting to kind of like minimize all of this, like, craziness, chasing everything all over the place, and still doing shows. And I was really lucky to still do shows at Vapor and Rivers Casino and like Grapevine Farms, all over. So pandemic starts, and we were hearing about the close downs. I go to meet my clients at the new office that I had shared over in Burn Hills. And I got to the door, and there was like because there was like 4 businesses in this building. There's like a thing on the door, and it said, no one's admitted due to the, coronavirus. And I was like, well, that's a wrap. And I turned to the couple and I said, I'm so sorry. And they were like, no problem. We'll get in touch with you once this is over.
Yeah,
so
here we are.
I went home, and what was eerie, and maybe you have this too, and a lot of people, as life is changing, I had a weird sense of calm. Like I wasn't freaking out that, oh my God, there goes my business, this business I've worked for years. And how am I going to do this? I went home and I was just kind of like, you know what? The universe is going to take care of it. Within 2 days, Marissa, and this is what's happened to me, like having the podcast, I woke up with like a complete download of what I needed to do. And I woke up and I was like, wait a minute. I used to do phone readings for like law enforcement and out of state. And like, I haven't done that in a long time. I could do that. And I'm like, wait a minute. How many times has a client butt dialed me through Facebook?
Yep.
And I didn't even know that it had that function.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I could do that. And I've had Venmo set up and like Cash App. And I'm like, wait a minute, this could do it. And that day I got out of bed, went to the computer, and I rewrote how to get in contact with me. And I did lose a lot of clients because they were like, absolutely not. I want to see you in person.
And I get that to a point, but
right.
But that's the thing is, like, I've had readings from you in both ways, where you were in front of me, you were down in my basement studio,
yes.
You were on the phone with me. Like, your ability you don't have to be in front of me to do it. And that's why, I know that I can go ahead and I can give you, I have listener questions. I know that you're going to be able to do that without them even having to be here. So we'll get to that in a minute. I want to point this out though, too, because when it comes to like natural disaster, when it comes to the unpredictable, someone might be like, well, what, Katie, you didn't see that coming?
Oh, trust me, Marissa, let's spill the tea a little bit here. So this girl, after being married 25 years, got divorced.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think the first thing people said?
Katie, you didn't see that coming?
You didn't see coming?
Come on.
You didn't see that was going to not be successful? You didn't. So psychics can't read for themselves.
Right.
And so maybe yes, there were inklings of things, obviously, like any woman or man would have, that was like, this is kind of going south. I don't think this is going to be so good. And so obviously, but the Irish Catholic in me was still going to try and make it all work. There was that whole other, probably what they call like your ego, that I was trying to make it all like, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, it's kind of, I mean, anytime you put a lot of effort into something, you don't want to see it fail. So that's really what it comes down to. But when it comes to stuff like coronavirus, I mean, these are just things that you can't predict. Am I right? I mean, it's like natural stuff that just happens.
Right. So what'll happen is, and a lot of my other friends, like we call them the God Squad, but my other friends that have ability, we all will private message each other without being alarmists. Before things like the pandemic, I can tell you it happened a ton before Hurricane Irene and Lee. We were all messaging each other going, do you feel something? Like it feels like something bad is coming. Before the Twin Towers, before 9/11. All of us doing that, saying like what happens is you feel like, Marissa, that you just don't want to go out. You want to stay home. You want to shut down your energy and just kind of work inward, which again isn't a bad thing. But you know that there's something that's happening, like a kind of like a trigger that's creating that. We can't maybe pinpoint it, though I will tell you there are many people, both clients and professional psychics, that'll say, I was getting things like seeing buildings crumbling. I was seeing, or we know that Sylvia Brown, famous Sylvia Brown, who's no longer with us, she has written in one of her books for 2020 that a flu-like pandemic is going to sweep the globe.
Yeah. And a lot of people wanted to go ahead and say that she was just a BSer, but again, there's a lot of things that you can predict. And I feel like what happens is those things were supposed to happen, but energy shifted, or something got in the way of your path that kind of like shifted you a little bit. Right. And if you shift, then your road kind of shifts. So not everything that was supposed to happen is now happening. I mean, I could be completely wrong.
No, I really feel as if, like you have free will within your lifetime. So you might have a God contract or a universe contract that you come here with, of things that people you have to encounter, things you have to experience. But then there's the free will part that you've got to do the work, God helps those that helps themselves kind of thing, without being too, it's you still have to do things. Like you're not just going to sit in a room and go, I'm going to wait for it.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So that's all a part of the experience. And there's two parts of this. I have a big faith that the universe, your family and spirit, they're taking care of your heartbreak, your job loss. Are
you talking to me right now? Stop it.
I'm just saying. I know, because I've lived it. But I'm just saying that, like, a lot of times when it happens, we feel so defeated. And because of where I am in my life, I kind of go, you know what? It's a chance for a new beginning. It's a new opportunity. And that I wouldn't have been able to create that. The other thing is, back when I was with the Chamber of Commerce, we used to we'd go away to this convention annually. That was the annual Chamber of Commerce, like everybody together from the country. And I can remember one time sitting in a meeting, and that was when the economy was kind of booming. But the one guy said, while he was teaching, he said, if you make and sell rulers, if all that ruler can do is measure, you're going to be out of business at some point. So you have to find a way to have multiple applications, diversity. He said, so what else could that ruler do? And so everybody came up with all these different ideas of what a ruler, just a basic ruler, could do. But it was kind of making you think about your life, your career. When something goes, if you're so myopic, Marissa, that your plan is only that one direction, you're set up for failure.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Right. And that's not how this is supposed to work. You're supposed to get inspiration and kind of like psychic downloads. Everybody's getting them. Everybody gets them. What happens to the average Joe is they ignore them. So then I've never met a person when I'm teaching classes that has said to me, I listened to my gut and it was wrong.
Right. Right.
Always the other way.
Yeah.
Always the other way. They got to like circle back around for like a 2-year period and fix everything that's happened.
Yep. Yep, for sure. No, I'm totally, yeah, I reach out to you every once in a while. I already said,
I know.
I actually looked back to see exactly when the last time I was, and it was back in August, or maybe it was just before August, but I knew I had taken a nap that day or the day before, or both days. Cause I mean, it's been pandemic. Like, of course I took naps. But I was just, for whatever reason, I remember being like in that weird, like half asleep, not really
Yes.
asleep state.
Yep.
And the date, August 23rd, kept popping up. And I was getting like that feeling like it's coming back for a reason. But, as people, we catastrophize things, right? So like we always think the worst. And like, sirens happen around the house. My parents immediately text me because they're down the street and they think something's happened to me. So we catastrophize. But for me, I don't know if I ever told you my unemployment, I
Right.
thought it was done. August 23rd, I got the email that said that I was getting like whatever again, or like I got a stimulus, or something happened where I was like, cool, I'm good for a couple more months.
I'm okay.
And that's what it was. And I guess that's the thing, is like, don't automatically think the worst, because
Right.
it could be something good. It might not be, some natural disaster that's going to happen. It could be something that is getting ready to like benefit you in a way, or like finally give you just a sense of relief, even if it's just for a moment, like it was for me, just for a moment. So,
But now you can trust that.
yeah,
You can trust when, like, one of the things that is said is you create your own psychic dictionary. So wherever that feeling, Marissa, was in your body, it was like an awareness, awakening, like, in your head, or maybe you just had, I always said, like when I was younger, it felt like a tickle, almost like you'd taken like Vicks medicine, a tickle down from the throat to my chest, like a warmth. And that was like, kind of like your validation.
yeah.
So
Well,
now you'll know if that happens again.
It's one of those things where it's like, I've always tried to trust my gut, but
Mhm.
talking with you and becoming friends with you way back when we did, and then I feel like you kind of allowed me to trust it a little bit more.
Love it.
So like, I've said this before, it's like, I talk to my grandmother a lot. I do get signs. If I ask for it,
Right.
I get it. But
Yes.
you have to, like, somebody might be like, well, you're just seeing it because you want to see it. But I will ask for the most random things,
Right.
and it will pop up. So, I mean, you can be skeptical all you want. I know that's grandma. I know it.
Yes.
So,
And that's the other part of that is people don't just get signs or cues. They get a feeling associated with that, Marissa. So I use the example, you could see dragonflies or butterflies all damn day.
yeah.
And then you'll have a moment where you're like in your car driving and you're talking to your Nana. And all of a sudden you're overwhelmed with that feeling of, it's like a love, calm.
Yeah, it's like a hug. It's like a giant hug.
Like a giant hug. It's an internal hug. You turn around and there's like a whole cloud of butterflies all around you. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you know.
So now that we've said all that,
Okay.
I did have a post on Facebook, and I know you did as well, and some listener questions that came in. I just want to hit a couple right now, and
Okay,
then
great.
we'll get to more when we do some bonus content that'll end up on Facebook and Instagram. So if somebody is watching this right now, they don't hear their question asked, it might pop up on social. So just be aware of that. But I do want to get to a couple here. Amy reached out. She has a niece who's struggling. She's got some addiction issues. She's very concerned about her. And she's just wondering what you might see for her this year, maybe coming up next year. Is there anything that is going to be positive in getting her in a good direction?
And again, I don't know who this person is, but the first thing I'm seeing is I keep wanting to go out into the country. I don't know if part of this young lady's rehabilitation is a connection to a farm or horses, but I keep seeing animals. So that might be key to help her. And I know a lot of times when they do rehabilitation that they send them to another state or another location. So that would be very, very positive. The young lady feels like she's a roller coaster. And the irony is she's extremely stubborn. So like very strong-willed. So even in her addiction, it feels like she's really strong-willed. Might have some issues with almost like borderline personality disorder or something that's an up and down that she's self-medicating. It does feel like, now here's the free will part. People can have a 50-50, and the 50-50 is they had the option to choose what's behind door number 1 or door number 2. And many times they pick the wrong door, and they do it on purpose. It's just because they're tired or they're whatever. But she has the opportunity within this year. And it feels like it's been a 2-year hitch of issues with this, but she has an opportunity to switch this around. All right, go ahead with another question, because I think it might be connected to this.
Okay, well, Kristen has been working for a company for 8 years, but recently she was approached by a friend to leave her industry for a brand new endeavor. She's super scared, just like anybody would be, to take that leap. But what do you see for her? Do you see her staying where she's been comfortable? Do you see her taking this leap? Financially, do you think what's better? Like, what are you seeing for her?
So when I get this with Kristen, ironically, she wants to be more adventurous and she wants to take the opportunity. But that whole thing with fear, and I think fear and money has been a consistent issue in her life for a long, long time. So it might stop her from doing what makes her happy. And she just, let me change it to this. If she doesn't take the opportunity, it'll probably come back up again. I'm seeing the month of like June, July, either that or that's when she makes the move. If she doesn't do the change, I feel she'll regret it. It's not that she's being mistreated at the job that she's in. It just feels like,
stale.
Right. I'm there. It's stale. So I have a feeling like June, July, that'll be the switch for Kristen.
Okay, let's see. I had a lot of people, and I'm sure you get this a lot too, because Katie is the first name, and Steve and Cheryl. Like I had a few of them where someone is passed, and they just want to know that they're okay. So in Katie's instance, her mom and dad have passed. She wants to know, are they with her brother? Steve,
so the brother's passed as well.
Yeah, and
so before you say anything, 2 things I want to tell our listeners. When we cross over, we choose our heaven. So if we choose to be in 2021 or 1984, we go to our happiest place. So it doesn't matter if your belief is Catholicism, Methodist, whatever. That's the way it shows up for me. They go to their happy place. So their happy place is around you, is around Katie. So they make sure that they're checking in. People have asked me, are they sad? Are they in pain? They're never sad. They're never grieving. They want you to live your best life. Nobody in spirit, Marissa, ever says, die with me. Don't be happy. Don't celebrate ever again. In fact, it's the opposite. They want you to immerse yourself in the memories, celebrate them, celebrate your own life, include a plate at the table and Thanksgiving for them, but don't give up on your own life and your own like happiness, your own joy. When I get this, I kept getting, when we were talking about the first person that wrote in, it's showing me a young man, and it might have been a very quick passing. It feels almost like a car accident. I want to give a name that's got like a J or a PJ that's connected with this. So that could be her brother, or it could be one of the other ones that had written in, but it's showing it. And I actually feel like I'm in the vehicle with them. It looks like an older model, like a Charger. It's got like the big windows, like I can see really well all around. But if there was 3 people in this vehicle, he was the one that passed.
Okay. All right. So if that makes sense to anybody, please let us know. Because this is the thing is like, I mean, it might not necessarily be for the first person that I just mentioned, Amy. It might not be for Kristen. It might not be for Katie. It could be somebody that maybe just messaged on Facebook that I didn't even get to.
When I've done the radio shows and before like the events at Vapor, they have me go from one because they're right in a row, as you know.
Yeah.
So I go from one to the next to the next.
Yeah.
So the listeners that know I'm going to be on, they keep calling the different radio stations so they can get on. And what'll always wind up happening is I might have all morning, and I got to get there, as you know, at like 5:45 in the morning to do the morning show for all of them. I will get like one person that is consistently bumping in and it's like the name might be like Daisy, and Daisy's not giving up, and
But now you're on 4 different stations going, who the hell is Daisy?
Exactly. And I'm like, does Daisy mean
Somebody
anything?
is
They'll be like,
listening,
no, but
and
then
they're
we'll get it
following
right
from
in.
station to station, and I don't know who Daisy. You please just message us somehow.
And they have. So they've gotten so savvy when I've done that. They know enough to write in to the DJs and say, I'm the owner of Daisy. I was listening to the show, waiting to get on, and I couldn't get through.
It's so like that, and that's what happens. I mean, and that's how this works, and that's why it's so mind blowing. And I got to tell you, because like that's the thing is like people again skeptical. I'm not skeptical. I've already experienced this, but you're doing this. I'm feeling the different energy here, and I'm not with you. And I think that's what's insane about it. Anyway, so again, more of these questions are going to pop up on social via video, so we'll get to those in just a second. Kristen, when she wrote in, she's somebody that has followed me for a while, and she said, are you going to ask the same thing to Katie that I'm asking when it came to job stuff? And I mean, you've read me like a million times before, but I mean, if you see anything for me in the next like year or two, what's coming up? I mean,
what's interesting with you, and I've gotten it from probably the first time we were together, you're just like myself, you're an innovative person and you're a very creative person. So you never let too much stop you or get in your way of your success. It's like, I'm going to make it. So every time we talk, it shows you evolving your talent and whatever you're doing. And that always seems to get you the next big gig. You just start on your road to working on stuff that might be more personal, and then boom, you get another gig. So even doing this, I feel like you're putting a lot like of your own positive mojo around it, and it's going to like take off again, and then it gives you another gig locally. If I were to give you a timeline, you actually have 2, Marissa. There is a connection with the month of May. So May feels like it may be the first opportunity or first opening where you feel like, oh, that's good. Then by September, there's another big shift. Doesn't mean job loss. It feels like more. So if it started as something that was like a smaller presence, then it becomes more by September. So very, very good. And I know that you're a worrier, a person that overthinks everything.
Stop.
It's going to happen. Stop.
Whatever are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Pshaw.
I will say I've gotten a lot better at it. When you first met me, I will flat out say I was a broken human. I was going through a lot of stuff, there's a lot of stuff personally. And then as that started getting better, because I made the right choices, the work stuff started falling apart. And I was dealing with that professionally now as I'm trying to heal personally. And it's taken a while, but I've done the healing and the self-help stuff that I felt like I needed to do. And now I would say that, I mean, thank God I did it pre-pandemic, because I don't know what the pandemic would have done to me, but I feel like I'm probably my best that I have been in a very, very long time.
So that's an interesting point, Marissa, and I agree with you on that. I do think that and that's really what we're supposed to do while we're here. I mean, let's get that right. We're supposed to friggin' evolve. You can't just sit in the cave and go, oh, poor me. You can't. You have to go, okay, that sucks. I got to get on with this. And let me figure out what that means in my world now. No matter what it is, it could be health, money, career. But people that you kind of said, like, do people have psychic awareness about things coming up? It's always interesting to me that, and even in my own personal life, that a year or two before major change, you're lining things up, and you might not even understand why you're lining it up the way you are, for your own self. When these other big things happen, that you go, thank God that I took that opportunity, created an LLC, changed my presence, or thank God, because then when all of this went down, you go, oh, okay, I don't have to worry about. That's one less thing I got to worry about.
Right. And you know what? That is exactly what happened, because I did create my own business. And then I was life coaching people throughout all this. And I started painting, and like, you're right, I evolved the entire time. And it's one of those things where it's like somebody could get completely beaten down. And I did feel it at times completely, like, because I ended up feeling like I took a million steps backwards. I was in Boston. I was doing my thing. I was very successful. The pandemic hits, and I'm living in my childhood bedroom. I'm on a futon, so it's like, and I didn't know what was going to be next, but I just kept going forward and trying to keep myself busy and occupied, but also like, keeping financially safe and like doing things that could grow into other things, so you're 1,000% right. I want to get to a few celebrity things, because here we are. I mean, it's only February, so we've got a whole lot of year left, right? And I want to see if you can make some sort of predictions here for certain people. And I want to pinpoint a couple, and then I want you to just let loose, because I'm sure that you're a fiery redhead. You're just going to spew off at the mouth at some point anyway. So, okay. So let's start with Britney Spears, the free Britney. What do you see as we're going through the rest of this year into the next year?
So with Britney, it feels literally like a rebirth. So even though she's probably down in the trenches, and like even I saw parts of her documentary, just actually the very beginning part I saw, she's going to have a rebirth, and she's going to wind up being a kind of like a role model for, I believe, other women. If I were to give you a timing on that, that's probably eminent, like in the next few months. And then once things start to open up again, if we had forgotten about her or put her on the shelf, she's going to have a big presence, whether it's Vegas or just like a whole new album. But she won't be under her father anymore.
God, I hope you're right.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
So as of Friday, Kim Kardashian filed divorce from Kanye West. Do you see them actually going through with this? Do you see this as a publicity stunt? Do you see?
That's exactly. It's funny that what you just said. I kind of think it's a publicity stunt. Do I think that there's trouble? I mean, I don't think you need to be a psychic to think that perhaps that's not like a love match. I just think that they go back and forth. And I think that a huge component of this is just what you said. It's for, but he reads so friggin' crazy. Like my take on it, and it has been for years. You talk about like a professional marriage. I always feel like they're not even together, that they're not even married.
Okay, that makes sense. I can feel that too. Yeah. Okay, let's go into some good stuff. Maybe is there going to be a relationship that shocks everybody? Maybe somebody that ends up getting married that we don't see coming, or that we do see coming. I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, and if it hasn't already happened, that the whole Jennifer Aniston and the other hunky there that she used to be with, Brad Pitt, kind of have a feeling that they're going to be back on the spectrum, like everybody's going to be seeing them again. So when they had shown something before where they were talking, and they were talking on Zoom.
Yes. Yeah.
So cute.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
And that was like right at the very beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah. That was like a table read of
right. I actually think that we're going to see some of that, and it's going to give us some feel good, just that they're kind of back together.
Okay. All right. I don't like mentioning his name, but Donald Trump, he's been banned from social media all over the place. He's been rather quiet because of that. But what is he gone? Is he going to come back with a vengeance? Like, what's happening?
I think that he's just waiting. He's biding his time. That you know what? He is the ultimate master of reinventing. So, no, he's not going to be quiet too long, him or his family. So, he'll be back.
Okay. Anything else that you might see in the Hollywood world?
So the bigger thing that I keep getting is, in the last couple of years, a lot of like really big sex scandals and things that were kind of like the old boys club and all that stuff is really, really been exposed.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be even more of a movement. But now I'm not a big astrologer. That was leading into pandemic stuff as well. That was kind of going side by side and then into the pandemic with those things there was a lot of revelations about things that people had done that was just like, oh, I can't even believe that went on as long as it did in Hollywood. So when I'm getting this now, we're moving into an astrology. I believe it's the Aquarian sign. So it's kind of got I think the whole year is almost like an Aquarian, but it's like more of a chill. So by God, don't we need it? But you can feel that coming, like it's in a healing mode. I guess that's my point.
Okay, cool. Well, I want you to stay right there because you and I are going to chat some more with some bonus content that people can find on Facebook and on Instagram, searching Hello from Mars podcast. I want to thank you for being a part of this week. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much.
I'm very interested to see what the heck happens to me in May and September.
May and September, it's career. It is definitely career, but it's that feeling for you, Marissa, that you finally feel like I can breathe. Because I think you always are holding your breath. You're waiting for the next drop. And we got to change that a little bit, that you're not waiting for it, but you just kind of go, okay.
What the hell do you mean? I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm going to grit my teeth.
I mean, the way my last few years have been, the holding my breath, I can't. I have asthma real bad.
That's all a part of that, by the way.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, hey.